the NBA season was it was a rough one. And I admit I got a little bored of it at times, and I kind of checked out. And early on in the playoffs, I didn't watch. I watched a little bit more in the second round. Didn't watch every single minute of the conference finals. Did watch the Eastern Conference. I didn't watch a whole lot of the Western Conference because it was over before it started. And then, of course, watched the finals. And I thought, for the most part, it got a little bit better at the end. Kind of got my interest back. But it still wasn't a very exciting season throughout the whole course of it. But it's always disappointing when it leaves. And we have just baseball. And I love baseball. Love baseball. But it's the only sport we have now for a couple of months. I guess at the same time, though, you can get a little optimistic because football's right around the corner.
Right.
It's not that far away. It's still in the distance, but it's not that far away. And, even high school.
Yeah.
Right now, 7-on-7s. I know Burns and Chapman, they were in Columbia for the Will Muschamp 7-on-7. So that's been going on. That's right around the corner. But it's a little depressing of a time for me when basketball season officially ends. I get sad. And I got to wait a few more weeks now into free agency, the most important month of my life.
Look at the draft Thursday.
The draft Thursday is important, but it's all about free agency for me.
Right.
Because then I can finally answer those who keep asking me what I think about the Porzingis trade. Got to wait till July to see if it worked out or not. Who knows? Not looking very good right now.
I think y'all are going to get somebody. I don't know who.
I don't know, man.
I think you're going to get one of the big ones.
It's sad because I'm literally getting to the point where I get physically ill over the Knicks right now. It's just happening. It was depressing. Then it went to funny. It was just funny all the time they screw up. Now it's going back to feeling sad all the time.
Seems like New York is going to get a guy. Brooklyn, New York is going to
get Brooklyn's going to get somebody. Well, good luck, Kyrie. Brooklyn's all right, but you never won a championship ever.
No.
Right.
I've never won a championship there. It just won't happen. Unless we get somebody else to go. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah,
but, as we look at it, the Toronto Raptors are the NBA champions. We took a look at this last week, Josh. If they do win, is it tainted? There's not a very this is not the Warrior team that we're used to seeing, full health, full go. And I talked about it last week with you, Josh. We both said we really don't view it as a tainted. Yes, a lot of things are going well for Toronto. And things really went well for them in the terms of Klay Thompson went down as well. If you can't win a championship with that, I don't know what to tell you. If you can't close it out and win a championship with Durant and Klay Thompson off the court, you don't deserve to be. Right. If you can't win, you don't. You lose game 6 to that. For the life of me, how do you do that? How do you not close it out? Well, they close it out. They get the championship, and the question a lot of people are talking about. Well, if the Warriors have this guy or that guy, it's different. Before I get into some of my points here. Is that the case in a way? Yeah, it is. I don't think Golden State loses the championship if they're at full health. But does that make it tainted? Okay, Golden State not at full strength, but they're still a really good basketball team.
Yeah,
and Toronto had guys step up. But Caleb, we talked about it, so we'll let you start ahead with it first, and then so on and so on. But
if we're gonna say that this championship is tainted, then we need to say that the Golden State. The first championship they won is tainted too.
Exactly.
Because they played a Cleveland team that didn't have Kevin Love or Kyrie Irving. Obviously, they're two of their 3 best players are out. And we saw what happened the following year. So, let's not pretend like, this championship should be tainted. I don't think it should. Toronto can't help who's hurt and who's not hurt. Golden State coming to the series, basically played 2 series already without Kevin Durant, swept Portland, looked great. Now, Portland was probably not – it was a poor matchup, obviously, for Golden State. But Toronto, Kawhi Leonard, who's the second-best player on that team?
Me.
Kyle Lowry?
Yeah, Lowry.
Van Fleet,
yeah.
Who just
Serge
came out of nowhere.
Marc Gasol.
One game he's 1 for 11, the next the hoop's the size of the ocean. I don't get that.
Yeah,
right.
We give him a lot of credit.
Crazy.
So I give Toronto a lot of credit for what they did. I give Kawhi a lot of credit for what he did and the way that he played. Outside of a quarter and 1 game, he had one of the best defenders in the league covering him in Klay Thompson. And they even tried to switch up a little bit, put Draymond.
They double teamed him a lot.
And Iguodala, yeah. So I don't think this is tainted at all. I think in order for teams to win a championship, one team's going to be healthy and one team's not going to be healthy. That's normally how it goes. And obviously we can say, well, if Kevin Durant plays, well, duh. Kevin Durant's the number 2 player in the league, the second best player in the league. So obviously if he plays, it's going to be different. I would like to reverse this and say, well, what if Toronto didn't have Kawhi Leonard?
Yeah,
in the series. I mean, this series is over, and it should have been over in one game, right? So, especially if Golden State if Golden State didn't have Kevin Durant and Kawhi was not able to play in the series for Toronto, then Golden State would still sweep them.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
because
they don't have a guy that's consistently going to be able to do it.
Yeah, but Golden State only had 2 guys that could really do anything.
Right.
And their bench is so bad as Golden State. They don't have any depth at all.
It's typically not. They were bad in this series. They were horrible in the final.
Well, it's just exposed in this series. But you look at the Raptors, they had Serge Ibaka come off the bench. They had Van Fleet come off the bench.
Right.
I mean, they had great production 1 through 7.
And
but
17 and 5 without Leonard.
That's regular season.
It's a regular season, and no, we're not saying they're better with
careless.
Yeah.
The point is, you're right. They had the better depth, and that's one thing we talked about to start the finals.
But all those guys as effective without Kawhi Leonard. When he's on the court, he is top 5 player in the league.
Kawhi.
Easy.
The Raptors without him, no shot. They wouldn't be able. Look before Kawhi gets there. They
Yeah. So I don't think it's tainted at all. I think that Toronto earned this championship. They can't help the fact that Klay tore his ACL and Durant was out. I mean that's just sometimes how it goes.
Right.
And nobody was saying this when Golden State beat LeBron. And by the way, Golden State beat LeBron. LeBron won game 1. And he won game 1. And their second best player on that Cleveland team was Matthew Dellavedova.
Yeah. That was his
Or Tristan Thompson.
Yeah, Tristan played well.
He got a max deal out of that. He got a max deal out of that.
So, if we're not going to see that Golden State championship is tainted, I don't think we should see this Toronto championship is tainted.
I think you can look back a lot of seasons. Like there was a few years where the Thunder were kind of in their prime. Kevin Durant goes down. Or Westbrook goes down. I mean, you could look at almost every season and see where a good player goes down. Last year it was Chris Paul. Is that
right?
Is that
right?
And I mean, we always look at the finals as the be all end all, but really, the
they don't get there if he falls down.
Yeah, that's right. So you got to look at the conference finals too, as well, or the conference runs.
And that's a healthy Golden State team.
But yeah.
Just saying, that was on the ropes.
It's every year there's going to be injuries. Is it going to be one of the top 5 guys every year? Maybe not.
Right.
Maybe not. But this year it was. And Kawhi, he took a few dings in the Milwaukee series.
He wasn't fully healthy either.
Right. He was slow in the Milwaukee series to start. I mean, he was struggling games 1 and 2, but he overcame it. And sometimes durability is it's a factor. It's a part of it.
Yeah. And those 22 games he missed in the regular season, they were probably against teams like, Memphis, some of the lower teams in the East and
still
in the West.
17-5.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things is this. Again, if the Warriors are fully healthy, do they lose? No, they don't. That's just the way it is.
I don't know. Toronto went 2-0 against them during the regular season.
Yeah,
playoffs are different. I can give you that.
Yeah, the playoffs are a lot different because, again, when people look at the regular season, the Knicks beat the Heat several years ago 4 times in the regular season, they got swept in the playoffs.
Yeah,
what I mean? That's just totally different.
That's true.
And I understand what you're saying. And Toronto is a lot better than, even I give them credit for. I will admit that. I will admit that. But I just don't. If the Warriors are playing their basketball and they're fully healthy, they're going to win.
I just think, man, we do a lot of this with Alabama football. We do it with the Golden State Warriors. We say, this is the greatest team of all time. Well, then they get beat and they expose these flaws.
But how much of the
this
flaws
Warriors team was not even the best team in the West this year throughout the regular season.
Right.
I mean, now the regular season doesn't matter, but they had the 4th best record in the regular season.
Right.
There's flaws to the Golden State Warriors. And I think the thing with super teams that you got to watch, you have all these guys that can score. You got 3 or 4 guys that can score, Curry, Klay, Cousins, Durant. After that, this team could not put the ball in the basket. And when Durant goes down, If Cousins is not healthy, you're down to 2 guys. Depth is such a huge issue, and I think that's what what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to get younger and get deeper.
And I think what you're saying, where they got exposed, is you're kind of right. The Golden State has depth, but they're not guys that can come in and put up 20 points. They don't have a guy off the bench that can do that,
or at least double figures.
They have guys that can play a role. As soon though as you lose Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant, they have to pick on a bigger role.
Absolutely.
They couldn't do it. They could not do it. Why other guys in Toronto stepped up, because again, Kawhi was great, was phenomenal. He didn't do it alone. He needed a lot of help. And there were guys that Serge Ibaka came to life and was just unbelievable.
Right. Van Fleet too.
Well, Van Fleet in the fourth quarter.
Right.
I think he scored 12 points in the fourth quarter. So that guy was
hot.
Was
let me wrap it up like this. Yes, like I said, I do think Golden State wins the series if they're full health.
Yeah,
but it's not tainted because look, championship teams, and Jeff Van Gundy said this, and I think it's best. Every champion catches breaks.
Absolutely.
Every single one. And yes, Toronto caught a big one with Durant and Klay Thompson being out.
And Klay, by the way, was out for Game 3, and he only missed basically a quarter of Game 6.
Yeah, but he had 30 points.
He was rolling. Don't get me wrong.
You take that point. It's hard to try to get any offense going.
He missed Game 3, but he was also playing in Game 1, Game 2, Game 4, Game 5.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right, and he was there enough. And I've said that Curry and Klay are enough to win a championship. For the most part, those guys were on the floor. Toronto beat them. That is exactly it. That's why I say it's not tainted. And every championship team catches a break. Clemson, last year, they won the national championship. They survived Syracuse.
Right.
I mean, they had to come back from a 16-point deficit. You know, you don't think the Boston Red Sox last year, you know, they give up a home run. Well, actually, it gets called back in the Houston series because of fan interference. It wasn't fan interference, but they caught that break.
Right.
They caught that. Every team that has won a champion gets something. There is a factor of luck that comes involved in it. And I think that's the way to wrap it up, is that Klay and Steph were on the floor for the most part of the series, and Toronto still beat them. Game 4, those two guys were there. Curry was awful in Game 4. Toronto beat them.
Toronto in Game 3
I think
was impressive, too.
Toronto won 19.
Game 3 was just Curry. He was by himself.
Yeah.
He was by himself.
Game 4.
Toronto won 19 of the 24 quarters.
Right. Yeah.
That's what
they deserved it.
And one of those was the tie.
And they won all 3 games on the road.
Yeah.
Right.
In Oracle.
Right. We got to jump to a break, though. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more about these finals quickly, because we kind of went over time here, but that is good conversation right here, because it's been what everybody's talking about. Is it tainted? And, of course, if you're a Warrior fan, you're screaming it is tainted. It doesn't help when you lose those guys. We understand that. But give Toronto some credit. They deserve it. We'll continue this more on the other side of this break. You're listening to the Saturday Sports Report here on Fox Sports 1400.